Anita, how's your mental health?
Questionable at all times. You know this.
Yeah, how's the mental health of your children?
Also a little bit tricky. Can I tell you my experience in trying to find therapists for myself and my kids, Mel?
Yes, please.
Okay, this is how it goes. You ask around your friends and your family for a referral for somebody who's nearby. You finally find somebody who sounds like they might work for your family. You give them a call and you find out that A, they're not accepting new patients, or B, they have a huge wait list. So you start over again and you ask people if they know anybody who would be a good therapist and a good fit. Finally, you find one, you go and you meet with them and you figure out that you don't actually like them that much. But it's been so much work to find somebody who you can go to in your area that you're kind of stuck with them. Well, do you have any ideas for how to get around this?
I do, because guess what? I've actually had some therapists that I have found on my own, which involves what you're saying. Sometimes I remember one time I was like 3 hours in the bathtub on my phone looking through websites. I was such a prune at the end. But I have also had the experience with working with BetterHelp. And it was like, I don't want to say too good to be true, but because it is true, but it's like amazing because I was matched with my therapist within 24 hours.
And you didn't have to go through all of that other ridiculous process of trying to find somebody. And here's the cool thing too, is if that person didn't work out for you, you can just switch and say, and it's not like you're committing to another years long search for somebody who you're going to jive with.
It's true. And I lucked out, or maybe just BetterHelp is really good at matching people together because I never had to change my therapist. I loved her. Perfect fit for me. And I know that some of our friends have used BetterHelp and they've had to change therapists, and boom, same day, you can change.
Easy peasy.
You can ghost your therapist. Get a new one.
I love this idea. BetterHelp is one of our sponsors. If you use our promo code trybetterhelp.com/WWDN, you get 10% off your first month. And we totally recommend it.
Yes. Get some therapy. That's trybetterhelp.com/WWDN. I'm back.
Mel, I'm so glad you're not Siri anymore.
Thank you.
I mean, I like Siri.
Yeah, I have an antibiotic now, and I'm working on getting better, so I can at least talk better this week. Hi.
Yes. Hi.
Anita, it's your birthday.
It is my birthday today. Happy birthday to me. I'm having a hard time being happy about my birthday.
Why?
It's been a rough week. Just a lot of kid drama. And also, I have been anticipating this birthday for a while. And it's because I have caught up to Jason. And to be honest, I'm pissed off. Because, like, I think about if I died right now, what a ripoff that would be. I'm so mad about it. Like, anyway, that's how I'm feeling. So, he died when he was 42, and I'm turning 42 today. So, I don't know. That's a really strange concept to wrap your head around, you know?
A lot of our widow friends say the same thing, where they've come up to or past the birthday of the age that their person was when they died. And it's pretty hard for a lot of people.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it might be hard also when I surpass how old he was, but I just think about my life ending right now and that would be not okay with me, and all of the things that he's missing out on, and the fact that he's not here to help, and it just feels like a ripoff right now. So, and this week has just been like, my kids have really, really tested my patience and my parenting ability. And so it's kind of like one thing has rolled into the other thing, and I'm just kind of grouchy. And, you know, it's really nice to have that one person who, you know, appreciates you and will be nice to you on your special birthday. And I don't have that guy anymore. So
someone that's not your widow wife, because I have a present for you and you're going to get it later today. And
okay, good.
I think you'll really appreciate it, but I'm sorry that I'm not Jason.
Yeah.
I'm not a parent.
So yesterday I had this funny experience. Like, my kids didn't even know it was my birthday. they kind of knew, but my one son, his birthday is in 1 month. And he was like, Mom, it's almost my birthday. And I was like, oh, is it? Thinking it's almost my birthday, too. And I'm like, what do you like to do on your birthday? And he's like, oh, I like to spend my time with friends and family. And I was like, okay, and what else? And he's like, I like it when people give me presents, and I like to be special for the day. And I'm just like, I like those things too.
So how do you do that as a parent? Do you say, guess what, my birthday is this day and it's coming up? Or do you just ignore it? Like, they should know, but they shouldn't. They're children. They don't even know what day of the week it is. What do you do?
I don't know what the answer to that question is. But finally last night I was like screaming at them because I was like, can you guys just do your chores? And they're like, no. And I'm like, that's all I want for my birthday. And they're like, what? It's your birthday? And then did they do their chores? No. And we have a tradition. I make birthday breakfast for somebody's birthday, but I'm like, I'm not making my own birthday breakfast. That's lame. So in the morning they're like, Mom, where's the birthday breakfast? And I'm like, I don't know. You guys didn't make it for me, so we're not having it. There's some cereal. And they're like, bah.
I don't think you would have wanted them to make you a birthday breakfast. It would have been full of like a potion, like mixed with raw eggs,
shampoo,
and some Tinker toys and Legos in the blender. Okay,
Maybe.
Well, birthday to you.
Thank you.
My week was uneventful because I have been in bed for a long time. This is
You've
week
been
number
sick
2.
for a long time.
I know. So for the first part of my sickness, I couldn't really do anything but sleep. And the second part, I have been like so bored. So I decided to learn how to animate things. That's been my week.
I've gotten a lot of people barfing.
Yeah.
kind of GIF type things.
Yeah, but aren't they fun? I've made aliens.
I know. I'm like, Mel, this is the perfect use for your time. Like you need to be doing this. This is your calling.
It is my calling. And I wasn't able to do anything regarding audio because my ears have been so plugged up and sinus stuff has been hard. So I'm like, well, my eyes are working. Well, one eye's working. I have a patch on right now because I have a migraine. One of my eyes hurts. So I can learn how to animate and draw.
With one-eyed.
Yeah.
One eye, no ears.
I mean, Widowhood's all about learning new skills, right? So here's another one. Not that I'm even good at it. It just is something I'm trying. So it makes me think of our friends that have said that drawing has helped them to kind of process their emotions. So it's been kind of fun.
Like art.
Hopefully this next week is better for you and better for me.
Yeah, I hope so. Guess what this week is, though, Mel?
What?
It's the last week of school.
Is that bad?
It's a mixed bag. It means that I don't have to, wake them up in the morning to do things, but it also means that they're home all the time, and they never go anywhere, and they're just around with me. So,
Your favorite.
And it's Memorial Day.
Oh!
Next weekend, too.
Oh, wow. All right, you guys, that means that it's time to gird the loins if you celebrate Memorial Day, which I believe is a military holiday, right? But we all kind of take it over.
Yeah, it's technically for people who have died in wars, but we have started to use it for memorializing all the people who are dead. So, and I don't know if celebrate is the right word, but observe maybe.
Okay, whatevs.
Yeah.
Usually you come with me to Scott's grave and we unicorn vomit on his grave. And now we have my dad. I don't know if you're gonna be available this time, but I have a great plan for my dad's grave this time. Yeah, it's gonna
What?
It has to do with tennis balls. I'll fill you in later. I just want to surprise you.
Okay, it sounds great. I shall make myself available for you.
Okay, thank you. My dad actually was a veteran, and so was my grandpa.
Oh.
So yeah, we have double cause.
I didn't know that about him.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So to everybody who is preparing for that coming up, high fives and hugs to you. Eat some cheese. If you don't like cheese, eat a donut. If you don't eat those things, go eat a carrot or nothing. Take a nap.
All of those things are highly acceptable and appropriate.
Yes.
Mel.
What?
Should the people listening join us in the Widow Wives Club? Yes or no?
I think the answer is always yes. Unless they don't like our style, then no.
Yeah,
And
cool.
then why would you be listening to this if you didn't like us? So it's
Maybe
fine.
they don't know yet. Well, the Widow Wives Club is on Facebook. It's our private group. Just make sure you answer all of the questions that we have asked, and then we'll let you in. And we include anybody who has sustained partner loss, married, unmarried.
Yes, no matter the legality of your partnership situation, you belong if you have lost that person. So please join us. It's an inclusive group, and we have found that so many of our members are very loving and accepting and supportive, and that people have gleaned many supportive time from our members. So please join us. Sometimes we have jokes in there too. So like, it's not all like, oh, everyone's dead. I mean, it is, but it's also like, here's tacos. Here's a joke.
There's the balance.
Yeah.
Yes. And can I just make a request? It's my birthday, and my kids, didn't get me anything. So will you please get me something? That's not true. My son did get me a bag of licorice, for which I am grateful. But will you please give us a rating and review for my birthday? I love those things. They make me happy. So give us a nice rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And I think you can only actually do a rating on Spotify and not a review, maybe.
Oh, yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, they're kind of slow to the game, but they're getting there.
Go do that for me, and it will make my heart happy, and I will have a happier birthday if you will do that. Shameless beg from Anita.
If you'd also like to support the podcast, please consider joining our Patreon. It's super fun. You get ad-free content. We also have an app in any app store that's free, which directs you to all of the things that we're talking about today. So Widow Wives Club, Patreon, other things we're going to mention in a bit. But before we get to that, let's do a shout out, because that is one of the perks that you get as a patron starting at the $10 a month level and up. What do you say, Anita?
I say, aye, Captain.
Okay.
We're going to start with our secret dead husband. And to her, we say, Voulez-vous widow avec moi ce soir? I told Mel it didn't make any sense.
Thank you, secret dead husband. Next, we have Constance Dahlbeck,
David Kelly,
Don Satterwhite,
Gail Bell,
Ivan the Misner,
who sent me the most amazing card over the internet, Kat,
Krista Waite,
Maya Glasser,
Sam Finlayson,
Amber Vela,
Amy Hartman Martell,
Amy Neal,
Amy Sapp,
Ashley Hahn,
Barbara Schneeberger,
Brittany Pedro.
Chris Steffen.
Your Siri voice last week, massacred half of these names. Christina Shiflett,
Cindy Wilkerson,
Danielle Catterberg,
Not a Debbie Downer,
Dennis Brazo,
Jean Marie Massey,
Jenny Taylor,
Jennifer Beal,
Jennifer Brown,
Jennifer E. Hassel,
Jenny Wang,
Kathy Murray,
Kelly Ford,
Kirsten Stromberg-Clausen,
Lauren Old,
Leslie Webb,
Auntie Marie Hoffman,
M.K. Anderson,
Patricia Wiest,
Rachel Barbosa,
whoop, whoop, Sarah Morris,
Sylvia the Widow Shore,
Taylor Snyder,
Karen Cornejo,
Vicky Spitt, the widow of Kirchhoff,
Anna Tracy,
Christina Scambato,
Christine Anderson,
Sydney Raynaud,
Dawn Barber,
Debbie Fells,
Deborah Westwood,
Diana Becker,
Emily Toledo,
Eric Vandermeulen,
Aaron Posick,
Gabe Lozano, Gia
Benoit,
Gina Haas,
Ian Sini,
Ileana Bell,
Jacinda Coyle,
Mi Mamacita Jane,
Jenny Armstrong,
Jenny Barrow,
Jocelyn Milo,
Julie Stevenson,
Karina Jacobo,
Katie Radcliffe,
Kara Scara,
Kevin Ferry,
Chris Morgan,
Lara Bradbury,
Laura Keeley,
Lindsay Konopka,
Lucky, Lori Farrington,
Judy Malkin,
Marjorie Lewis,
Mary McGowan,
Megan Montague,
Melissa Bowers,
Melissa Hancock,
Daughter Missy,
Peter
Becky Zebra, Becky Zeba,
The Zebra.
The Zebra. Becky Zeba the Zebra.
Sarah Kennedy.
Stacy Saywert.
Sunshine Haven.
Love you, Sunshine. Tammy Terravest.
Tara Wallace.
Val Packer.
And Z-Pack Wendy.
Ooh, that's like worth some money, man. Those Z-Packs.
I know. I have a refill.
Thank you to everybody who supports us on Patreon. We certainly appreciate the support that you give to us. It allows us to keep making the podcast for you and as well as all the other widows out there who we're trying to get in touch and reach.
We could not do this without you, and helping us allows us to help others. So thank you to those who have supported us in this way. If you're not able to support us on Patreon and would like to buy us tacos, go to buymeacoffee.com/widowwedonoww.
Tacos sound good.
I can't taste them yet. I cannot taste anything. But don't worry, Anita can eat my half right now.
Yay. So Camp Widows coming up. We're going to be coming to San Diego in July. We'll be there very briefly, and then we'll be running away to our corners of the planet. And then we're also going to be coming to Australia in August. Cannot wait. It's going to be really fun, except for that whole flying for 30 million hours to get there.
So if you are on the fence about coming because you don't know what it's like to go alone to something, just remember that mostly everybody that's gone to Camp Widow has gone alone and they've left with friends. So it's a very safe place and you will find community. So we would love to see you there. Please check out their site, campwidow.org. We'd love to see you.
Absolutely. Mel, are we ready to get to our episode today?
Mm-hmm. And I love this lady. She's so much fun. So I can't wait for our listeners to get to know her as well.
Let's do it. I'm Anita.
I'm Mel.
We're two young widows, one having a stupid birthday, and one who is eternally sick, and we're trying to figure out widow.
We
do.
Now. It's true, huh?
This episode is sponsored by the Misner Family Foundation in memory of Elisabeth Misner.
Sometimes we assume that unless we had a huge life insurance payout, we don't really need to know anything about investments or even finances. But guess what? A little knowledge of finances is critical for all of us. Maybe your partner was in charge of that stuff, and now you find yourself making all the decisions. Maybe you're mad about that. Maybe I am. Nicole from the He's Gone But the Money's Not podcast is here to help. She tackles financial literacy by telling the stories of women and widows and finance experts and shares the lessons they've learned as certified financial planners. Whether you know a lot and feel confident in your financial decisions or feel unsure about all of that stuff, there is more to learn. Listen and subscribe to the He's Gone But the Money's Not podcast on all podcast platforms. This ad was paid for by Rockhouse Financial, an SEC registered investment advisor. Today we have our friend, Julie, what's your actual last name?
Martella. Julie Martella.
Julie Nutella.
We gave her a different last name, so we should probably let her tell us her real name. So Julie Martella, yes?
Yes.
Where are you recording from?
Other than your closet.
Okay. I am recording from the farm on 15th Avenue in Central California.
15th Avenue sounds like it belongs in New York, not the farm in California. Okay, we're going to have to learn more about the farm, but I think first we have to back up a little ways, don't we?
You might. You might.
I remember the first time I met you. It was so long ago. It was 2 weeks ago.
It was so long.
Probably at the time this comes out, a month and 2 weeks ago. At the table, the registration table for Camp Widow in Tampa.
It was lovely.
It's nice to have you here, and we would love to hear your widowhood story. Sorry that you're one of us. It's stupid.
I know.
Why don't you tell us about your person first? Who they were, how you met, name, social security number.
Back of the credit card, 3 pins.
The three numbers. Yes, of course I will. So my husband's name was also Jason.
Ah!
I know. You cannot swing a cat and not hit a Jason in this world right now. So sweet Jason, he was a farmer and he was a fourth or fifth generation farmer, and we met in the third grade.
Oh.
Yes, we went to Catholic school together. I was usually in trouble writing on the board, and he got to go out to recess. But we went to school together starting young, and I didn't know this until recently, but he had told my brother-in-law he had the biggest crush on me in the third grade. So anyway, that makes me so happy. But
It's cute.
we went to school together. We were on parallel paths. We reconnected in our mid-20s, and it was just meant to be. And I came home from my second date, and I told my sisters I could marry that man. That is the perfect man for me. So, and we got married a year later, and we were married.
Wait,
yeah,
we've gone past third grade, right?
well, barely.
So fifth grade?
Fifth grade, we decided to get married. At
Okay,
25, we
perfect.
made it official. So.
Okay. When you were in fifth grade, was it a thing to ask to be your Valentine?
Yes, I guess. I don't know.
I feel like it's a newer thing because my kids are like, so-and-so is going to be my Valentine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what does that mean? And it means they buy each other a bigger candy to
Right.
exchange.
So, no, we didn't do that. The nuns barely let us do anything, right? So
Oh, those darn nuns.
Can we first just talk about what Catholic school was like? Are all the stories true?
yes.
Really? Did they hit you with rulers?
Yes. If I asked too many questions, she would hit me with a ruler.
I would not have done well. Not because of asking questions, but just because of goofing off.
Well, and we spent a lot of time. I did spend a lot of time writing lines during recess. I didn't last long in Catholic school. Jason, he made it all the way.
To the Pope.
He made it all the way to the Pope. I did not.
So you got kicked out.
No, we were removed.
Which is a nice way of saying, okay.
That's a nice
So-
way of saying that you are fun and the best.
Yes.
25, you made it official and married your third grade sweetheart.
At 25, we began the journey together. And I married this little man that I didn't even know. We just reconnected. So,
Oh,
yeah.
that's super sweet.
It was
So tell us about your life. Then you started living on a farm? Yeah?
Well, we lived off the farm. He farmed. And so we had a little house out on the edge of town. I was a teacher and he was a farmer. And pretty quickly, we found out we were pregnant. We weren't expecting that. I was like a big surprise. The first baby was due on our first anniversary. And so we hit the ground running. And second baby came along 22 months later, also not expected, but we dealt with that too. So
This sounds like Anita.
it was like,
Whatever. I waited 7 years till I had a baby. So
oh, well, I thought I was. It just didn't happen that way.
But Anita, you got married at 19.
I know.
True.
So I had my first baby when I was 26 though.
Yeah, so you guys are kind of around the same age,
We
right?
kind of. Yeah, I
When
was
you had babies?
29 or 28 and 30. So
Okay.
yeah, and we actually we're developing like a good rhythm and a good life, right? And then one Friday in October, I went to school. I had a little sick kid that was my front row Joe because he needed lots of attention, right? And he got me sick, and I came home and I never went back to work. So,
Why?
Yeah.
Are you okay? Do you want to talk about this?
well, we could talk about it. It's easy. It's quick. I ended up with it's kind of a worst case scenario that kept building on top of each other. And I ended up
Oh,
with
okay.
bacterial meningitis and encephalitis.
Yeah.
So there's my brain injury. That's my internal brain injury. And that was the end of my
So
gig
you stopped bringing in
as a
the
working
millions of dollars
adult.
from teaching because your brain was going nuts on itself.
Yes.
So encephalitis is like inflammation of the brain, and it
Yes.
does similar
Yes.
things to having like a traumatic brain injury. So we were talking about this a little bit before, how both Mel and Julie have had their brains give them trouble. through different means. So
Yeah, how was that for you as a parent and just as a basic human?
It was really hard. I had to relearn a lot of things. I don't know how yours was, Mel. Um, I had to learn how to talk again. I couldn't see very well. I always wanted
she's
to fall to
listing.
the right, like I was on a boat. And I was listing. I always, and if I get tired to this day, I list.
Wow.
And I lost a lot of my memory. So yes, so it's kind of the equivalent of having like an old union worker as the secretary of all the information in your head, and she's going to retire and she's had too many cocktails, and she's like, I can do it. I can finish my shift. Right? That's my mind. And it was challenging having children because these little creatures needed to be fed, and I had to remember to feed them. And they went to, thank God, my husband, he'd take them to daycare. So there was shorter periods of time in the beginning that I had to take care of them. But it was very challenging because as a farmer,
there's no days off
you
for
don't have the
farmers.
luxury of staying home or taking over the kids.
Can we just talk about what you farmed?
No.
Or farm? Because in my mind, I have this picture of what a farm is. And then when you told me what you farmed, I was like, what? That's not what you grow on farms. Like cabbages, onions, I don't know.
And you wear
corn.
overalls and you're like spreading seed to chickens. What type of farm do you have?
Well, currently I have a walnut farm and I grow walnuts, which looks like a giant orchard of trees. And then at the home place, I live on the farm. So the homestead is what it's called. I used to have a bunch of chickens and we had sheep and we had some cows sometimes, but those have all since gone away. So now I just have just the trees.
Is that what Jason farmed as well? He always farmed walnuts. Is that his family's legacy? No.
Actually, no. It's a good story. We farmed food for cows. So we farmed things like hay, corn, sorghum, wheat, those types of things. We also always had some cotton because he liked it. And then he had these animals and they were just for his enjoyment. He just enjoyed them. They were not we didn't grow them to butcher them. They were like our pets, like we had pet cows, right?
Oh.
But when we found this parcel of land, he decided that he wanted to grow nuts because nuts was a permanent crop. And a permanent crop was easy. It made it easier for him to go back and forth between the ranches. Mm. But the beautiful thing about that is he created this walnut orchard. He conceived it. He planted it. He nurtured it. He did like basically the first 5 on this beautiful orchard that is completely his.
Wow.
So, yeah.
You know, when I think of farmers, sorghum, that comes to mind first, for sure.
I don't even know what that is.
Farmer, neither do I.
Blessed be the farmers that actually know what sorghum is, and those of us who should be grateful for those who farm sorghum. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So you're living your happy brain injured life. You're getting better from that. You've got 2 kids. You've got a husband who's farming all the time.
Yes.
Tell us more.
And after the brain injury, he became my external memory. So Jason, he no longer was just my husband. He was also like my enabler of life so that I could do life. He helped, he was like doing this all the time, back and forth, reminding me, teaching me how to keep track of things because I had to learn everything again. So he really had a very significant role in my life above and beyond just the man that I loved, right? Mm-hmm. He did everything.
So he was also a caretaker in a way.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Kind of helping you to get back to functioning and...
Yes. And, we always made the decision early on that we were never going to be upset about what I could not do. Instead, we always looked at what I could do And then when things got messed up, we just learned to laugh it off and go, well, that happens.
So you have a brain injury. You have kids. How many kids did you and Jason have together?
We have 2 daughters.
2 daughters.
Yeah.
And you're going along your life. You guys have figured out how to be a team and learning how to cope with your limitations or with what you are able to do. I like that you guys did that. And then what happened?
And then that man upped and died.
WTF.
Right? The nerve.
Was he eating sorghum? Is that what happened?
No. But it all started, I made him some popcorn. And we went on it. Well, I know, right? Sometimes in the early days, I used to think, did I kill him by popcorn? Like, you have all these crazy thoughts. He was a sudden death, and he somehow starting with popcorn, he got diverticulitis and then had a perforated colon. So they had to go in, do this horrible surgery, and then abruptly decided to send him home. And we lived out of town and sent him home with no blood thinners. And guess what? The man popped a blood clot and died on me on the bathroom floor.
Oh my gosh.
All of those things are awful. And this is the first popcorn related death I've ever heard of.
I know.
I don't want to be a jerk or insensitive. I kind of want to call you the popcorn murderer, but I feel like that's kind of rude.
I know. Every time I eat popcorn, I have that brief thought. This is what killed my husband.
Yeah. Also not really.
No, it wasn't. It was the first event in a chain of events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And also, if you get diverticulitis, it usually means that you have diverticulum. And so you have a diseased or an abnormal colon that the popcorn gets into those little pockets and causes an abscess or causes an infection. So if you have if he had a normal colon, you can eat all the popcorn you want.
Thank goodness we have a medical professional on the show that can help save me from terrible jokes.
It sounds like she stayed at a Holiday Inn.
Yes, I'm not a doctor, but I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express.
How old were your kids when this happened?
They had just graduated from the 8th grade. So 14, and my oldest daughter had just turned 16.
Perfect timing.
Perfect.
Girls that age are very stable.
Very.
And really have their lives put together.
They do.
So I'm sure it was totally fine.
It's totally fine. And one of them was in France at the time.
What?
Yeah. And we had to bring her.
Oh.
We had to call her on the phone and tell her dad died, and then send someone to go get her and bring her home.
Was she traumatized from phone calls from then on?
No, but she is traumatized of travel. It's been a real struggle. This intense anxiety of, if I leave, what will happen?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we work on that.
How old are they now?
They are now, they just had birthdays, 19 and 21. So
it's been about 5 years.
We're on 4.5 years right now.
4.5 years.
Oh yeah. You're like me. We are similar. Oh my gosh. I can relate with the traveling part. So you found him. So you have some PTSD. That's fun.
Oh no, I didn't find him. He collapsed on me. In the bathroom. And I ran to get my daughter. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but I ran to get my daughter Allison and screamed at her to go get help. She's in the 8th grade. I don't know what I was thinking, but she went and got help. She took a vehicle and went to the neighbor's house and got help. We didn't know what was happening, right? And I'm going to tell you that I thought he just was laying on the floor and he's like, I can't breathe. And I kept saying, it's okay. And I'm going to tell you that he was dying. Now I know he was dying, but at the time we didn't know. And I just kept telling him, I love you. It's okay. Let's just breathe together. And then he was passed, then he was unconscious. And I called 911 and we started CPR. And the crazy thing is he wore glasses and his glasses were fogging up, and I kept trying to clean his glasses because I kept thinking, when he wakes up, he's not going to be able to see. I need to clean his glasses. And I was very adamant the whole time. Like, I kept cleaning his glasses. But the neighbors came, we continued CPR. The paramedics came, we drug his body, like they drug it out of the bathroom and into the hallway. We threw furniture aside so we could get to him, and they paddled him. And there was nothing, and they paddled him, and there was nothing. And when they were leaving the house, I remember the paramedic was talking to the hospital and saying, male leaving, no pulse. And we went to the hospital, and then they told us at the hospital that he died at the hospital.
So normally when this happens, we know that they do an autopsy and it takes a few months. So did you have any idea what had happened until the autopsy report came back? Or was it a mystery to you?
Well, we had no idea. Well, he'd had a heart attack already at 40.
What?
I know. So we thought, as we're driving to the hospital, my neighbor, his name is Keith, and he was my husband's best friend. And they had gone all the way through Catholic school together, right? And he was driving to the hospital, and he kept saying, man, we're going to get to the hospital and find out he had another heart attack. And we just kept thinking that. So
I hate the story. No offense.
I know, because this is like Little House on the Prairie.
You're supposed to have like a charmed life with a John boy or something in the corner, right? And
tell me about it.
Doing chores. You at one point had sheep. Like, that's cute and stinky, but cute.
Yes,
I hate this. This is not going how I would hoped.
Yeah. And now you have to make some decisions about said farms, because what do you do?
Right. Well, what happened was we had 2 ranches or 2 farms. One of them was immediately taken over by the family members. So they took it over and finished out the crops that were on it. The home ranch, which is where the walnut orchard is, he died in June, and you're in the middle of the season, and the trees don't care that its owner just died. Like, that's the reality. And we had a really quick decision to make. And I was very fortunate that I had the farming community stepped in. They're amazing people. And they would step in, and they started taking over, and they started helping. But what happened was, within the first 2 irrigations, the guy who's supposed to be irrigating, who was his best friend, and he was devastated, and he was not functioning well. He's a wonderful man who's broken. He goes and he gets in a fight, and he breaks ribs, and he disappears for 3 days. Well, we're trying to irrigate. So the writing was on the wall really fast that Julie, there's a decision to be made here. Either you're going to learn how to take care of this, or you're going to lose it. Like, that's the options. And if I lose the farm, then we lose everything. Like, there were no like easy choices. It was either lose everything or figure it out.
Yeah. Or get to work.
I have a question. Brain injury. At what point were you in with your recovery with this? Like, were you still, is this when you would get tired, you would still kind of lean? Like, were you having memory problems? Like, because the death of a spouse is like its own brain injury too. So you had that plus an existing brain injury and then a farm. So what was your actual brain like at that time?
Okay. So at that point, it had already been a good 10 years. So any recovery that had been made was made. My language was good enough. I still say things kind of funny. My memory was not good, but I became very good at organizing things because I did not have an internal organizing system. So I became very good at externally organizing my day, my time. I had lists. I had homes for everything. So everything was well organized. So as long as you followed the plan, we were okay.
That's almost like a good preparation for widowhood.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Crazy. Unbelievably crazy. So
Um, okay, so you gotta get to work. You gotta take care of the walnuts. I don't even know how you take care of walnuts, but you water them,
You talk to them.
you fertilize them,
Yes.
You
Yes.
pick them.
Yeah.
you keep the birds off of them.
You hope.
No, okay.
hope the
What
birds-
about bugs?
Yes,
You keep bugs from eating the
do.
trees.
You have to treat the bugs. So
And then what?
okay. So
Well, you have to make the decision first that you're going to keep it.
Okay,
yes. So we're going to keep it. And I'm going to, and what happened was, so I had the second thing that happened was the gentleman that was taking care of things for me had a conversation. I would start asking him questions because I had to learn how to do this. And he got frustrated with me very quickly. And he said, we had a white fence around the house. And he said, listen, you take care of the stuff on that side of the fence, which was the children, the house, and the girls. And I'll take care of everything on this side of the fence. And don't ask questions.
Nope.
So
Nope.
guess what? He had to go. And he was very unhappy with me because I was ruining his best friend's orchard. So we finished off the first set of time with him, and then he had to go. And then yes.
You know what I have to say to that? If he was mad that you were, quote, ruining his best friend's orchard, he shouldn't have been a jerk to his best friend's wife. The end.
I perhaps agree with that.
Continue.
Yes. So yeah, and the other thing that happened was nobody, because everyone thinks I'm a functioning idiot, right? I mean, right? I don't remember things. I confuse things. You could hold a gun to my head sometimes and I can't remember things. And everyone was like, she can't do this. So nobody wanted to support it except my neighbor, Keith. And Keith said, and his wife, Renee, and they said, no, she can do this. Julie can learn how to do this. So I had this whole group of people passive aggressively opposing me. And then I had Keith and Renee who were like, rounding up the wagons and helping me and teaching me. And Renee would feed me and tell me, come down here and eat and, take care of things. And Keith, at the time of this recording, he's the district attorney. And that man would come home from work and meet me in the field, go change his clothes and meet me in the field. And we would figure stuff out.
What? How does he have time for this?
He works a lot. So
Thank you, friends. You know what? If you've had a brain injury and you've put in so much work, you can do anything.
we just have to do it differently.
Yes.
We just do it different.
Yeah. You relearn how to do it.
So one of the things that we had to do is you have your beautiful rows, you have rows of trees, right? And then in between the rows, the weeds grow. When you water, it creates weeds and the weeds grow. So you either have to spray the weeds with chemicals or you have to mow them. Well, when I mix chemicals to spray the weeds, I went and got, it's called your PCA license. It's your pesticide applicator's license, which they said, you can't do that. So I got it. But I always felt like I was mixing up a nuclear bomb. So I was always really afraid to mix the chemicals. So I was always very afraid. So anyway, I would mow. Well, you had to be able to drive the tractor to mow the weeds. And the other people in my life, they were like, no, we're not going to teach you how to mow the tractor because you shouldn't be doing this. And Keith said, yes, you should. And I'm going to teach you how to mow the tractor, to drive the tractor.
Why is it their business what you should and shouldn't be doing? I think that's awesome.
It was really a hard thing because these people have a manual that says this is the type of person who should be farming. And I did not fit anywhere in their manual. And I wasn't raised on a farm, right? So I had all these things. They were like, this will never, ever work. But guess what? It will work because if I don't do it, then I lose everything. What am I going to do?
Do you know how to prune trees? Do you have to do that?
I did a little bit. I would do light pruning. Oh, I have a story about that.
Okay, tell us your pruning story.
Well, okay. So, I'll get to that.
Okay.
The key taught me to drive the tractor. The other people would not teach me to drive the tractor because it was this passive aggressive opposition. So what we would do, and you have to get up really early to be a farmer because you can only farm until it gets to a certain temperature and then you have to stop. So we would go out and I would have to mow the orchard. You had to spray chemicals or I had to mow. And I learned how to mow. And I will say that I only caught the tractor equipment on fire one time.
Good job.
Yes. And I was in some high weeds in the morning and of course I always farmed with a dress on because why wouldn't you? Like, why would you put jeans on to go out and be hot all day when you can put on a sundress and some flip-flops? So I have my flannel shirt on, got my dress on, I'm having some coffee, I'm driving the tractor, and I get into some high weeds. And my neighbor Keith had said, if it gets stuck, man, you just ramp it up and keep going, right? So I did that. Well, I spun it so high and so hard that smoke started coming out. And, oh, wait. And did I tell you that my property backs up to the highway?
Oh, boy.
So everybody can see this. So anyway, I made the decision. I was not going to call the fire department come hell or high water and have everybody in the world drive down the highway, see the fire department coming to save me. But there was a canal right there. So I dumped out my coffee and I ran back and forth from the canal and dumped water on everything that was smoking and put the fire out.
Problem solved. Easy.
I solved it. And I learned a really valuable lesson because guess what? Right? You just have to learn the lessons. So
that's farming 101. Put out the fire with your coffee cup.
By the canal. Right. And by the way, I've never told anyone that story. No one knows that even happened. So.
And now the widow world knows.
Now the widow world knows. So, but that's just how it was. We just had to learn how to do the things. I learned my lessons. You keep going. You just, every day, you keep going. What needs to be done today? I hired a man to tell me when to water because there's a science to watering. And some of the other farmers, they would always say, you're watering too much. Well, I just listened to my guy. And my guy would tell me, you need to water this much this week. And so either I would use the sprinkler system and Keith would come out on water days and you have to drive your lines and you have to look for where the coyotes have chewed them up or they've broken and then you have to fix them. Yeah. Yes. All these things.
Stupid coyotes.
Oh, I hate the coyotes. Or and I learned if I couldn't fix the lines, I could use a valve wrench and I could open valves and I could flood irrigate, which is the traditional older method of farming. So, so I had a parade of these white trucks driving down my road because all these gentlemen were just looking at the trucks like, what in the hell is that crazy woman doing? I was doing what they told me to. I was farming. And it wasn't pretty and it wasn't the way they did it. And maybe they were jealous because they didn't get to wear a dress and I did. I don't know. But it was getting done. It got done. And I did that for 3 seasons.
Wow.
So are you still doing it?
Well, no.
Oh, no.
No. So my last season, the season's starting right now and it lasts till November. And my last season, I had, we talked about bugs and bug problems. I had this thing called husk fly, which turns your nuts black. And you don't want black nuts.
Don't tell a dude that.
I know. We have lots of nut conversations. And it makes them shrivel. You don't want shriveled nuts either. Listen, you want to have a nice, white, fleshed nut. That's what you bake bread with.
A plump,
oh my gosh,
white fleshed nut.
Yes. You don't want them shriveled and you don't want them black.
There's a lot of life lessons in this.
I know. So, but guess what? The husk fly will suck everything out of that nut. So then it shrivels and then it turns black. So my pesticide advisor, I would tell him, hey, something's not right out here. Something's not right. And he'd say, well, you're watering too much because everyone thought I was watering too much. And I'd say, no, something's not right. No, you're watering too much. And then a young kid, like from the junior college came out and he goes, Miss Julie, I think you have husk fly. And I said, what is that? And he told me, well, then we start examining the orchard. I have husk fly everywhere. And husk fly is just this fly that comes in and it lands and it lays all the eggs and does all the damage. And it was devastating that this, and then when I called the advisor, he continued to adamantly insist there was nothing wrong, that I was watering too much. And finally, as I start sending him pictures, and another farmer, a trusted farmer, comes out, he's like, "You've got big problems out here." And we had to harvest early to get rid of, because the damage was happening. And then we had to come out and do a second harvest. And then at that point, I finally made the decision that I could do, and I had blown out my knee. I had torn pieces of my knee, and I continued to farm because there was no one else to do it. So it wasn't right. Failure is not an option. But at this point, I decided that I had gone from taking over what my husband did to I had become my husband. And in that process, I had lost the balance. My children needed a mother, and I had become the farmer. And I was injured, and I could not take care of the orchard properly, and I was tired of fighting men. I had Keith in my corner, and that was about it.
So did you sell the farm then?
I did not. I still own the farm. What I did is my neighbor who farms, he took over the farming for me. So to this day, I still get to help with the farm, but my help is the equivalent of a toddler in the kitchen with a spatula saying, I help. He does all the big work. I walk the rows. I pick up trash because we live by the freeway. So there's always that problem. That's the work that I do.
You mentioned that you had become your husband by taking over his farm and all of this. Did you have a chance to grieve while you were in that time frame? Or did that come after?
Well, that's a really good point, because for 3 years, I did not grieve, and I did not deal with my PTSD. I ran from it. And you can do a really good job when you are working to the point of exhaustion every single day to not have to deal with it. And so even though I'm 4.5 years out, it wasn't until I hit the beginning of year 4 and I had to stop, right? I had to stop, and I had surgery, so I couldn't do it anymore, that my grief and all of that trauma was just waiting to be dealt with.
I have so many questions that are not pertinent to the podcast about walnuts, you guys.
This is pertinent. Go for it.
Okay. I just need you to know that growing up, my grandparents had 2 or 3 giant black walnut trees, and my grandma used to pay me 25 cents to fill up a bucket full of walnuts. Do you know how many walnuts fit in a bucket?
A lot.
A lot. That's my first point that I'd like to make. I have feelings about walnuts. And the second thing is when you're talking about those husk flies. So my grandma, she got dementia, and she had a basement apartment that Jason and I lived in for a couple of years, and she could not throw anything away. And the walnuts they were shriveled and not great, but she brought inside once like bags and bags and bags and bags of walnuts. And I didn't know this, but there were these weird flies that hatched out of the walnuts and were covering every surface of the house. Is that husk fly?
Yes.
Ew.
That's either husk fly or a kissing cousin. They hatch.
A kissing
those
cousin?
become of the husk fly.
Oh,
of the husk fly. Those husk flies, they basically put the larvae, and they nest in those mummy nuts, right? The nuts that didn't get harvested become mummies, and that becomes their home, and then they hatch out.
yes. And it was like, we didn't know that she'd brought all those walnuts inside. So I was just like, what is going on? We were vacuuming them up from the ceiling. My grandpa still has like places where you can see on the ceiling where they've been like smacked. Yeah. And I was like, walnuts are gross, but now I've learned that they just had husk fly. How do you treat husk fly, by the way?
Husk fly can be treated with an effoliant, which means they have to come and either fly it on or spray it on with these
Oh,
big
interesting.
machines. Yeah.
Okay. Do you like walnuts?
I like them enough. I don't like 200,000 pounds of them to eat,
Okay.
but
Because I just don't even think they're that great.
Okay, Julie. So you go from your husband being the farmer, he dies. You're learning how to be a walnut farmer yourself. You, in a way, become your husband. What kind of yield did you get from your orchard? What was that like?
I think Mel is asking, were you a terrible farmer? Or did you get to be
Because we're proud of you that you did the steps, and we know you did the steps, and you're like, no, don't tell me what to do. I'm going to learn this. But there is always in farming the yield. So will you tell us about that?
I will. Everything is measured in the yield. And the first year was, it was a smaller yield. The second year, we kind of made up for it a little bit. We're figuring it out. But the third year, which was all me and Keith, we produced a total of 200,000 pounds of nuts. And the previous year, we had produced 100,000 pounds of nuts. So we increased our yield by 50%. And that was unheard of.
Wow.
It was unheard of.
How many buckets do you think that would take Anita to fill?
You know what? That's like a fifth grade math problem.
Yeah. We should think about that and see. I mean, I might have come up with like $10, $15, $25 out of that yield.
Maybe 50. Maybe 50.
Yeah, 25 cents a bucket, man.
That's right.
Oh, wow. Julie, I'm so proud of you because this is not an easy thing. It's not only that you're taking over for your husband, something that you already knew how to do. It's not like you were just stepping up and doing more. It's like you learned a whole new world and a whole new skill that's a very specialized thing that you would have no reason to do other than your husband dropped dead on you because of the popcorn diverticulitis/DVT.
Yes. And, it taught me some very valuable lessons that have really helped me move forward in all areas of my life. And one of those is, do not ever underestimate the power of what you can do. Because given the right circumstances, you can do anything. And there were days that I would go out in the orchard, especially the early days when I was so upset and so consumed by my grief. But nobody wanted, if you tell the kids, let's go work in the orchard, they're going to hide from it. So all I had to do to have some peace and quiet was just say, I'll be out in the orchard. And I could go out in the orchard and I could cry and I could scream at the top of my lungs. I need help. I can't do this. And then I'm telling you, time after time, somebody would drop into my lap that could do something. After I caught the mower on fire, which we found out later, it was the belts. I had burned the belt. There was a gentleman, his name was Jake. He became a good friend of mine. And he said, I can fix this for you. And I said, can you fix this for me? And nobody knows about this because I don't want anyone to know what happened. And he said, yes. And he goes, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to come out here once a week and I'm going to check your equipment.
Oh,
right.
Nice guy.
And super nice guy. And his girlfriend, she was so understanding, right? Because if somebody helps you, everyone has lots of thoughts about that. And the thoughts were, he was helping me and he helped me with the livestock. And I needed to get rid of the sheep because these are too many living things that I had to take care of. So he helped me get the sheep to the sale. My daughter liked to show animals. She did FFA and 4-H. God bless him. He said, I will take over your daughter, like in this area. And so I lovingly refer to it to this day as the Jake and Allie shit show. And he took that over. And he and his girlfriend, Jean, they took Allie in this aspect over. God, I don't know if it was God or the universe, or whatever you want to call it. People came into my life, people like Keith, people like Jake, people like my water guy. We look like the bad news bears. Let's be real. It wasn't like we had a real high tech thing, but we did it. We did it.
Mel and I talk about that all the time, the synchronicity of the universe and how things happen. And it's hard to say it was just a coincidence, but it seems like the universe, like you said, universe or God or whoever you believe in is like, and now, boop, here you go. This is just to get you to the next step.
Yes.
My dad just died, and my mom has been,
sorry.
Thanks. And my mom has been experiencing that. It's just like, of course it sucks, but it's like, okay, on the worst day, here come all these people that are unprompted and you don't, and it's like day after day after day, or, and it's just,
yes.
The thing that's so funny and stupid about it is we wouldn't know that if we hadn't been experiencing the loss and the really gut-wrenching thing. So it's like this gigantic blessing and gift with the highest cost.
Right. The highest cost. There's a quote that I think about a lot with my life. And, when I took over the farm, I made a lot of people angry, right? A lot of people were not happy with the choices I was making. They were not happy with how I was handling things. And it used to bother me. And then I came across this quote that basically said that sometimes you need to scorch everything to the ground and start over. And after burning the soil, it becomes richer and new things can grow. And people are like that too. They start over, they find a way. And that I really think about that with my life, that the life that I had, Julie Martella, her life was gone the day my husband died. A new life began the day my husband died. And it has new things.
It's interesting, the reference to burning, because burning is purification too.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so it can be...
But it's also very painful.
Yeah.
Like, super
Right.
painful.
And it's destructive and it makes everything ugly and hideous, but then new life can grow. So I really think it's an apt, there I'm having a brain damage moment, whatever that word is, blank, of our
Analogy?
lives. Yes.
Yes. Metaphor.
Yes. Those words. I think it describes our lives as widowed people. The life that we knew is destroyed, but we have the opportunity to create a new life.
Yeah. Agreed. We can be whoever we want and do whatever we want.
Yeah. Yeah.
This was a big part of our speech in Tampa.
Well, I want to tell you, we're talking about the synchronicity of things happening. So after I realized, the husk fly infestation and the subsequent early harvest and the destruction in the orchard, it really broke my spirit. And it really forced me to stop. And then my grief was waiting and the PTSD was waiting. And I wasn't in a good place. And I was very isolated because I live on a farm. But the synchronicity is I finally had the courage to join this thing called Meetup because they had a widows group. And I had to connect. I was desperate to connect with widows. And that one event was life-changing for me.
I got the chills.
So.
Is that how you found Soaring Spirits?
Yes, that is how I found Soaring Spirits. And the group leader, this is amazing. The group leader, her name is Teresa Beshwaite, and she presents at Tampa, she presented at Tampa, and she's called the Sudden Widow Coach. So she runs the meetup group. And we come to our Zoom call, and I'd never Zoomed before. I didn't know how to Zoom, and I figured it out. And we start talking, and she's like, "You're a farmer, and your husband died of a pulmonary embolism." She's a farmer too.
What?
Yes, and her husband died the same way as mine. Like, in what universe does God send me a woman that is further down the road than me, that can basically hold my hand and show me it's going to be okay?
Wow.
That's amazing. What did he farm?
She has walnuts. I'm sorry. No, I have walnuts. She has almonds.
You're both nut farmers.
Yes,
Wait.
nut farmer.
The widow
Yes.
nut jobs should be your tagline. You're welcome.
I love it. I think that should be our tagline.
So question for you.
It's been amazing.
So what's next for you? What is your life looking like now? You've relinquished a lot of the things to Keith, right? You're a toddler helping.
No, I relinquished a lot of the things to Steve.
Oh, Steve. Sorry, that's my trauma brain.
There's a bunch of men in my life, all that have a job.
Okay. So some dude is doing most of the things with the farm and you help when you want to lick the paddle.
Yeah.
What's next for you?
So what happened next is I have decided, I sat down and did an evaluation of my life while I'm laid up having knee surgeries and shoulder issues. And I said, what am I going to do with all of this? Right. And what is it that I do? And the message was very clear that between the brain injury and losing my husband and having to organize the farm, that I can help widowed people organize the logistics of life after loss. Like that, like I don't have very many superpowers, right? I can't even remember every morning as soon as I brush my teeth. I can't remember if I brush my teeth, I have to touch the toothbrush and go, oh yeah, I did that. Right?
Yep,
but you know what I can do is I can take things, my life has had major restarts over and over and over. And if I can show a widowed person how to make some meaning out of this mess and how to take this life that's been destroyed and to put it back together in a new way, then I'm happy. You know?
Yeah.
Then I'm happy. You know, we have a choice. You know, we have a choice. We can let what happened to us make us a bitter person. Or we can take what happened to us and let it make us a better person. And we can give ourselves permission to live. And so I have decided I'm giving myself, my husband, he would want me to live. And so I have decided I'm giving myself permission to live, and I'm giving myself to have a chance to have joy, and I'll take 2 helpings of it.
Get it?
Right? Yes.
So you're giving yourself permission to be a plump white walnut instead of a shriveled black walnut.
Jumbo sized white plump
Yes.
walnut. Yes.
Is there such a thing as a double yolk walnut? Because that could be you.
No, but if there was, it would be me.
Julie, how are you planning on helping the widows? Do you have a coaching thing? Are you making friends? Like, tell us.
Okay, so what I do is I have a couple of things. Number one, this is amazing. So I told you, because you understand, Anita, that with our brains don't work right and we have to organize differently. While I was under lockdown, I discovered this lovely thing called the National Association of Professional Organizers, otherwise known as NAPO. These are my people, and they speak my love language. And I became a member of NAPO. And not only did I become a member of NAPO, so you have to go through training classes and certifications. I have every certification that they have because I just cannot get enough of it.
Excellent.
I almost think it should be napalm, not napo. Like you come in and you're like,
ah! And
Purification.
Exactly. And so what happened was I became a professional organizer first. And as I started going in and organizing homes, what happened was the widows were like, hey, I need you to come help me. But when I went to come help them, it's never about the home. It's never about the clutter. What it's always about is the feelings and the paralysis and the processing of emotions and the mourning of the life that the stuff holds. And so I began to work with widows on, we have to work on the mind in order to deal with the stuff, right?
oh.
So I actually became a certified life coach.
Oh,
I did.
Me too.
So
Are you life coach, Brooke Castillo life coach school?
Oh man,
I'm actually,
you guys are both in the
We're
cult.
the same.
no, but you know what? That's my second school. I went to another one first and I was like, no, this one isn't good enough. And so then I went to life coach school. I also, and I have the NAPO. I work as a professional organizer. And what I do now is I take clients, I work with clients one-on-one. I work with groups. I go to conferences, like I will be speaking in San Diego, helping. Yes, I will be speaking in San Diego, helping widows finding you and your future, right? Organizing your mind so that you can organize your space. And then I go to places like I'm going to Baltimore at the end of the month, and I'm speaking at the conference for NABO, and I'm teaching the NABO people how to be sensitive and thoughtful to organize widowed people. So I do this. I go back and forth.
Thank you for
That's
that.
called cross-pollination.
I love cross-pollinating. I love it.
Oh man, I was gonna say you need to teach this because this is a really useful
I know.
skill. So
I
when
know.
you come and help me prune the peach tree, we can also organize everything.
Yes. And guess what? But here's the beautiful thing. If you can learn the process, you can organize anything. Anything. It's easy. And you know what? The most wasteful use of your money in organizing is to sit there and have me sit by your side and go, do you want that? Do you want that? Do you want that? When the other thing that you could be doing is we have a talk and we have a Zoom call or whatever it is. And we talk about, you tell me, oh my God, I have to take care of this closet. It's driving me crazy. All right, let's make a plan. Let's find your why. Let's figure out how you're going to edit. Let's figure out how you're going to declutter. Let's figure out how you're going to put everything back. Okay, get to it. And then we'll come back and we'll regroup. And we just keep doing that over and over and over and over and over. And then guess what? Then your whole life is straightened out. Because once you get traction and you learn the process, you start applying that process to your finances, to your scheduling, to your kids. Like, it's amazing. It's like amazing. And I love doing it.
The brain is everything, and you can do it even with a broken one.
Yes. Yes.
And are we going to ignore the fact that walnuts look like brains?
Yes, we're going to acknowledge that in the room. They're like little tiny brains.
We're coming full circle.
Yes.
Full circle, guys.
Yes.
Wow.
So,
Julie, you're like a rock star, man. Mel, you need to tell them what you named this Zoom meeting.
I named this meeting. What did I name it? Let me see.
It's like the rock star widow Julie, the farmer.
Julie, the badass.
Here's what I named this Zoom meeting, because every time we schedule with somebody, I name it Widow We Do Now plus whoever. This is called Widow We Do Now plus Julie, the badass farmer of the nuts of Wall. Do you get it? Like walnuts, the nuts of Wall, for those who have a broken brain.
Yes. And that's the beautiful thing. We can do anything, even with the broken brain. We can do anything, even when we're stuck in grief.
I've noticed that with my broken brain, because I used to be such a great multitasker, I could hold everything in my mind. I could get by on I could coast on that stuff. I don't know how. Yeah. And I was super productive. I'm way more productive now with a broken brain because I have to break it down so small and be so intentional. And it's mind-blowing. Haha, no pun intended, but maybe.
Walnut blowing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's unbelievable. And so I don't want to say it, but I also do want to say it. Having the broken brain has been one of the greatest teaching tools and life-changing things for me in my life, so that I can do even more and understand how I can do things another way.
It's true. And in my situation, the best thing that I have learned is that my brain has a threshold. And as long as I cruise along under my threshold, I'm okay. It's like an old car, right? You can drive that car in third gear. But if you're going to get above third gear, things start falling apart. And if I don't stop and take it back, I literally lose my mind. Literally, I don't know if this happens to you. I have on a good day, I have walking amnesia. right? My sister loves to joke that I'm Dory from whatever that movie is. Yeah.
That's so funny.
That was
she
perfect.
so lovingly tells me that. And it's like, thanks, right? But, but my brain is telling me, hey, this is as much as you can do. And so all the people are like, why don't you just go back to work? Because that's not available to me. Working an 8-to-5 job, I'd make it about 3 days and I would literally lose all of my cognitive functioning. So I have to create a life that will work for me and my brain. And it looks different than what you do, and it looks different from what you do.
Julie, we have one final question for you. After all of that knowledge has come from you, we have one more thing. It's very serious. I'm going to let Anita ask it. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready, Julie?
I think I'm ready.
Okay. What is your favorite cheese? And please keep in mind the cheese and walnut pairing that would go best.
Okay. Well, being a cheese aficionado, I can tell you that my favorite cheese is a 5-year aged Gouda. Because Gouda is a Gouda, right? And it pairs very well with some wine, with some fruit, and with some walnuts.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Julie. We've had such a fun time talking with you. And maybe you won't even remember this conversation after we're done. So it'll be a surprise when it comes out.
It'll be all new to me. It has been a delight, ladies. It has been a delight. So
good.
And anytime you guys want to come to California, you are welcome at the farm. You are always welcome.
Okay,
and you can even bring all the kids because we could just arrange a camp out. So
send them into the forest of walnuts.
Yes,
give them a bucket.
And, yes,
25 cents.
And guess what? And then you tell them, hey, and by the way, after dark the coyotes come out, but you do whatever you want.
Anita, you should just move there.
Oh my goodness.
Julie, if somebody wants to work with you, where can they find you?
I have a website now called Navigating Widowhood. So www.navigatingwidowhood.com. And I have a blog, and I have resources for widowed people and all the things.
Excellent.
I think I liked your page today.
I will go look.
You might have sent
I might
it to
have.
me
I might
today.
have.
So great. Well, everybody check her out. Julie's the best.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope that you have found Julie as lovely and amazing as we have. Make sure you check out the Widow Wives Club on Facebook if you want to be a part of our private Facebook community. They're so awesome and supportive.
Just make sure you answer all the questions. Yes, all of them. Sorry, not sorry.
Yes. And if you would like to keep the podcast going, check out our Patreon. It's patreon.com/WWDN.
If you'd like to buy us tacos, go to buymeacoffee.com/widowwedonoww.
Strangely enough, once I had a taco that was vegan and was full of walnuts. True story. I know. Full circle again. And if you can't do any of those things or would not like to, just give us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
If it's a mean one, though, maybe don't post it. Just be nice.
Until we talk to you again, I'm Anita.
I'm Mel.
And I'm Julie.
We're just two young widows and one widow who asks the question, if a widow screams in a walnut forest and nobody's around to hear her, did she really scream? We're all just trying to figure out, widow.
We
do
now. This is my favorite thing to discuss with you.
Tell me, what is it?
One of my favorite things. I do enjoy tacos and cheese and dogs. This is about how you cannot pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a phone plan, especially when you're a widow, your person is dead, you might have kids, you might need another option, and you just want your phone to work, you want unlimited texting and service, and you want it to be like $25 a month.
It blows my mind that they have plans that start at $15 a month. That is so cheap. And the cool thing is it uses other 5G networks, and so you don't have to pay extra for that, and you still get great service.
Yep. Anita and I have traveled all over, and I have used my phone. So I highly recommend it. And my mom's even on it. When my dad died, we put his phone down to the cheapest plan, which is $15 a month. And I think my mom's on the $20 a month plan, and it's so worth it. It's so much cheaper than what we were all paying before. So I highly recommend it if you're on a budget or not. Who cares? Ryan Reynolds is in charge of the company, and they send you free stickers with Ryan Reynolds temporary tattoos. It's kind of the best. So if somebody wants to sign up, what can they do, Anita?
Go to trymintmobile.com/WWDN. Seriously, you guys. Such a great idea. Save yourself some money.
And if you're worried about losing data or having any changes with your phone, not going to happen. They walk you through it. Everything's fine. It's the easiest process of all time. Again, that's
trymintmobile.com/WWDN.